everyone and welcome back to my channel. I have another sewing make. This time it's another Tilly in the Buttons pattern, but it's the Dominique skirt. There's two options with this skirt. One is the straight and one is kind of a slightly A-line flared skirt. So I really liked the look of the flared skirt, but the fabric that I wanted to make it out of originally, I didn't have enough because it actually takes a lot more fabric for that flared skirt than it does for the straight skirt, which I guess makes sense because it's going out. So I thought maybe I would make the straight one, but I wasn't 100% sure if I liked the way that it looked and if it would suit me and if it would fit me properly because I'm kind of a pear shape. So I made a toile of the straight skirt and it was okay, but it was a bit boring I thought, and it just didn't fit me brilliantly. So I then decided to order some more fabric. So I ordered a blue like chambray denim fabric, so it kind of looks like denim but isn't denim, I guess. I kind of wanted to get it in green or another colour besides blue, just because, I don't know, I have quite a lot of like blue bottom halves just because I wear jeans all the time, so I kind of wanted something a little bit different, but I just couldn't find it on the website that I was looking at it. It was Minerva Crafts is where I ordered it from. Anyway, so I just bought the blue stuff. With this pattern, it's like 4 panels for the skirt and they're all cut on the bias. So again, the fabric that I was thinking about using has a pattern on it and it would have ended up going kind of diagonally, which for some patterns might look kind of good. I mean, I've seen some where there's like stripes and they go kind of diagonally down rather than across, vertical or horizontal, and that was quite cool, but then you've got to kind of match them up and stuff. But with this pattern, with this fabric, I don't think that would work, so I bought just a plain colour, a plain blue colour. I'm wearing the skirt now, which is why I'm not holding it up, but I will insert some really lame footage that I got of myself wearing the skirt. My normal photographer is away, that's just my boyfriend, so I had to do it myself and I could not get the self timer to work on the camera, so I filmed it instead. So I will insert a clip here. So the skirt is quite voluminous, it's quite flared, and the fabric and the way of cutting it on the bias as well makes it quite like drapey and quite like twirly. It's kind of a twirly skirt, and I like it. I really like the length of it as well. It's kind of knee length, so it's long enough to wear without tights because I don't feel comfortable wearing a lot of shorter skirts without tights, but I will wear shorter skirts with tights and not have a problem with it. But I wanted something that I could take on holiday or wear in the warmer weather because it is amazing right now. This is actually Easter weekend, so I'm filming in advance, and it's glorious. It's so nice outside. It's really sunny. It's a stark contrast to last week, and I think the temperature is going to drop again next week, so it's a bit all over the place. But yeah, I definitely wanted like a nice summery skirt. The pattern is fairly straightforward. It's fairly easy. Like I said, you just have to be careful because you are cutting on the bias, like 45 degrees to the grain line, which is something, again, the grain line and things like that, I never paid any attention to before, but it actually does make a difference. When you feel the fabric, it stretches so much more when you cut it on the bias, so then you just have to be careful that you're not stretching the fabric out of shape whilst you're either cutting it or sewing it. So that was kind of a bit of a learning curve, I suppose, but it's not too difficult. And then you just put elastic around the waist, and then there's a sash as well that you can use. That's optional to tie around the waist, but I think it does look a lot nicer. I used a bit of ribbon for the like belt loops, and I'm not sure that I love the look of those, and I think next time I would use the actual fabric that I was working from. But in their instructions it said either use a bit of ribbon or use a bit of an elastic hair bubble, and I didn't think that would look great, so I went for ribbon. And I kind of wish that I'd worked out a way to make it out of fabric, but it would have been a bit fiddly because I would have had to like sew like a very small bit of fabric neatly. So I just chickened out and went for ribbon. And I didn't make the loops big enough, even though I followed the instructions. It said cut a piece 7 centimetres, which I did, but it's not quite big enough, I don't think. So the sash is a little bit scrunched up as it passes through, which isn't really a problem, but it can just get a little bit kind of like it doesn't lie flat necessarily and it gets a little bit twisted. But my main problem that I had, and it's not with the problem with the pattern, but it's just my lack of experience, was hemming the bottom of the skirt. And they do explain in the bottom that, in the booklet, that when you're hemming the skirt, because it's a curved shape, when you fold the hem upwards, it's like the raw edge of the hem is actually longer than where you're folding it up to. That made no sense, I know, sorry. But it made a bit more sense in their explanation. So you baste a row of stitches and then you pull them a little bit, which just brings in the raw edge to make it a little bit smaller, so that when you fold it up it should then fit where you're actually folding it to. And I found it really hard to get that correct. Like in some sections I did it too much, in other sections I didn't do it enough, it didn't lie flat. And my bigger problem was, before you do that you finish off the seam, and my preferred way of finishing off the seam, because I don't have a serge or overlocker, I just use some pinking shears, because I can't be bothered to zigzag stitch everything, and I just think that would actually look less neat than pinking shears to just cut it into a zigzag. So I had recut the hem of the skirt with my pinking shears, and I hadn't cut it very well. I hadn't cut it very straight, but it's a curve. I hadn't cut it very neatly. So then when I was folding up the hem, it was all a bit like it had lost some of its shape, some of its curve that it's supposed to have, which then added to the issues that I was having with like folding the hem up and it not lying very flat, and me having to like pull the basting thread and trying to get it the right size and stuff. So I did figure it out, and it is hemmed and it looks alright, but if you look closely you can see that it's not very even. And if you kind of put the skirt flat on top of each other with the front and back on top of each other, you can see the hem, like a bit of it is like longer than the other bit of it, and it's no longer like the same shape all the way around. You can't really see that when you wear it because it is so floaty, and also because I'm in it, so I kind of obscure some of the looks, and who's looking that closely at the hemline anyway. But I am aware that it's not a very neat job with the hem. So if I make the skirt again, which I would like to, and I would like to make it in a green fabric, and I have seen some green chambray on the interwebs, but I have spent all my money on fabric. I have no money, and I'm about to go on a 3-week holiday, so I need to start buying fabric. So at some point in the future I will hopefully make another one in a green colour, because I think green would be nice, and I will work a little bit more on getting the hem neat. But it just goes to show that the stages that you go through, the instructions that you go through, it's so important to be neat and careful at every step, because the next step relies on it, which is something that I never really considered when I did it before, and I was just like cutting and whatever, however I wanted to, and making a big old mess. Anyway, the conclusion is that I like this skirt. It fits really comfortably. I did add a little bit more ease into the elastic in the waistband, so they have a formula to work out the length of the waistband, which I think is your natural waist, take off 10%, and then add 2 centimetres, and the 2 centimetres is like the seam allowance, because you sew the elastic together and you overlap the ends by 2 centimetres. So I worked out that measurement and it came to 70.4 centimetres, but I actually cut a piece of elastic that was 72 centimetres. So I added in an extra centimetre 0.6, and that makes it more comfortable, because I just don't like things to be too tight around my waist. And so I'm glad I did that, and it does fit really like comfortably. I think that's all I've got to say on this skirt. I'm really enjoying doing the sewing, and I've been very productive this weekend in the last couple of weeks. I imagine that it's going to probably slow down a little bit, but I have really been getting into it, and I'm really enjoying it, and actually producing things that I can actually wear, which is very fun. So I hope that you have enjoyed the video. Please give me a like if you have. If you have any tips or any comments, please leave them in the comments section, and if you'd like to see more of these videos, please subscribe.